Baby boys, baby girls, what's going on? It's your boy SKIP.88 here in the building. We are back again on another Sunday doing another interview of Being the Blerd. Have a very special guest coming in. He's waiting in the green room. We're gonna let this brother introduce himself the way he want to be introduced, and we're gonna get this good interview on and started. And I'm pretty sure y'all gonna enjoy this interview because this person has his own convention in the great time of New Orleans. So we're gonna let this brother to come in, introduce himself the way he want to be introduced, and we're gonna take it away. Remember, if you want to ask questions, you can go to the Facebook page, to the Twitch page, and we'll try our best to answer every question that we can. And I'm on Instagram right now, so I'm looking at the questions right now. If you had questions, but if you want to ask them, I'll look on this as well. So without further ado, people, let us bring our special guest in and we're gonna get started. So hope y'all enjoy it. Thank y'all for tuning back in. And without further ado, everybody, this is our special guest, the man of the hour and the evening, Mr. True.
How you doing? So yeah, my name is True. I'm black and I'm a nerd, and I find that I'm most comfortable in spaces where those two things overlap. And I wasn't finding a whole lot of that in New Orleans, so I did something about it.
Boom. There it is. Came in powerful with that answer. I like that. Good sir. Thank you for coming on. We really do appreciate you for doing this. And welcome to Being the Blerd. Um, so what this is about is about you to get to know you about, what makes you a nerd and a blerd and everything you love about the community. And also we're gonna talk about the grand scheme of things of what you're doing in New Orleans. I'm pretty sure people are very excited to learn about this convention that you have created. And so welcome. And now to move forward, the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ask you the question that everybody loves for me to ask, and I'm not going to fail them. So I'm gonna ask you the same thing, Mr. True. So, Mr. True, what makes you a blerd?
How much time have you got? I've always been interested in art, in making things, in science fiction, um, in animation, and anything that's creative, anything that is imaginative. Those are the things that I've always been drawn towards. And yeah, like I when I think of people that are not nerds, they bore and frighten me. So yeah, I'm a nerd.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. So why do those people kind of bore and frighten you?
A lot of people think that there is a point in your development where you switch from childhood to adulthood, and then once you're in adulthood, you're supposed to put down childish things and like I don't know, go into accounts receivable and I don't know, just do adult things. And and I don't understand that mindset. I think it's really boring because, if you look around the world, there are children and there are adults.
Mm.
And which group has more fun? Like you could be standing in the line at a bank, and most adults are just kind of standing there, like, waiting for their turn. The kids are like, "Ah, da, 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 I'm going to da, da, da." They don't care about you. They don't care if you're looking at them. They're singing, they're dancing, they're talking to themselves, they're playing games. They're like, whatever it is they're doing, they're having fun. And the people that feel like you have to give leave fun in childhood, it's boring to me. And those
Yeah.
people, the way that they think is sort of frightening to me because I'm not like that. And I know that because I'm not like them, I frighten them.
Okay, I understand that. Like that answer. Love that answer. So we got a lot to talk about once we deep dive into this interview. So the next question behind that: how do you feel, and what do you think about the word and term blerd?
I love the term blurred. We're um, I remember when we first came out with BLERDFEST, someone posted something on one of our socials about how the name was stupid, and I was like, "Well, we're the the Blackula of nerds, you know, like,
The
um,
Blackula.
I mean, it's sort of cheesy, it's sort of corny, but like, you know, back 50 years ago at the start of the blaxploitation era, it was sort of like a shortcut. You know, you have a Dracula. How do you signify that Dracula is black? You put a BL in front of it. He's now Blackula. You have a Frankenstein story, but you want to make Frankenstein's monster black. How do you signify that? You put a BL in front of it. He's now Blackenstein. I mean, it's sort of campy. It's sort of cheesy, but it's fun. And, you know, if you're going to acknowledge that you're a nerd and you're black, I mean, why wouldn't you call yourself a blerd?
That is true. I like that answer. I like that. I like it. You know, and sometimes being cheesy is always good. There's nothing wrong with being cheesy and having good puns behind everything that you do and say. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. And I always ask those first two questions to break the ice. That's to get the mind space and the headspace of the person I'm interviewing. So thank you for sharing. I really do appreciate that. Now, you said something that kind of took me by surprise when you first came up with the name BLERDFEST. You said somebody said something out the way, say that's a stupid name.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a
You
black person that just objected, just thought that, you know, calling ourselves blurs was stupid. It's like, all right, well, okay.
wait, it's so, but if coming from, and that's coming from a black person, how did that make you feel? You know, for them to say something like that, even though you made a space for people of color to come to your convention of, you know, BLERDFEST.
I mean, you know, any interest you have, someone thinks is stupid. So, you know, I like anime. There are people that think anime is stupid. I like, you know, Godzilla movies. Some people think that's stupid. Like, if you're gonna worry about what someone else thinks is stupid about your life, then you'll never live your life because there will always be someone that thinks that you're doing something that's lame.
Mm, I like that answer. Very powerful answer. Thank you for sharing that. So let's deep dive and let's get to the real tough and nitty question, shall we? So, Mr. True, what are your top 5 animes of all time? Your 5 animes.
You know, I've never admitted this publicly before, but I have sort of a love-hate relationship with anime.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, like I've always watched it,
Okay.
but the traditional anime, I love the way that Japanese animators do um, special effects and machines and robots, but the way that they've chosen to do their human character design, I'm not, you know,
That's
where like the characters have like, you know, two mouth positions. It's either like a tiny little slit, or it's this, you know, they're crying and it's this huge, like Charlie Brown size, like, and then you know their hair is like this huge cascade of hair. It's like that stuff is it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. So actually, I think the best anime that I've ever seen, I just saw in the last couple of weeks. It's called Onimusha. It's a new Netflix anime, and what I liked about it was that I think it's probably the best animation I've ever seen. It's really intense animation, and their character design, you could tell that their character design comes from that anime tradition, but like the sort of extreme emotions and, you know, exaggerated features where like the character's eyes go from this to that and all that is toned down, so you can still see that it's part of that tradition, but it's not quite as exaggerated. I really like Blue Eyed Samurai. That was another recent Netflix anime. And ooh, I think the rest are sort of battling out for like positions 3, 4, and 5. I'd have to I'd have to think on that for a while.
okay. I'm so sorry, everybody. I don't know what that's happened on my end. Did something mess up on your end, True? Because like my
Uh, you froze for a while, and I couldn't tell if you were listening really intently or if you froze.
I froze really, really bad and the audio just kind of cut out. So if you don't mind, can you repeat what you just said? Because it kicked me out the whole studio for some odd reason.
Ah, okay. So I was saying that I don't know how far back you froze out, but I was saying that what's probably my favorite animation ever is a very recent Netflix series called Onimusha, which has probably the best animation of any kind or I don't think I've seen better animation anywhere than in that show. And it was still very stylized, but they toned down a lot of the exaggerated expressions that kind of bug me about traditional anime, like when the characters and then they get excited and their eyes go this big. Are you freezing again?
Oh no, I'm not
Or-
freezing. It's this glitching. I don't know why, but I'm
okay.
hearing everything you're saying.
So Onimusha is probably my favorite. I really like Blue Eyed Samurai, which is also a recent one. Akira, I think is an amazing piece of art. And the last two slots, I think there's a whole bunch of anime in my head that's sort of fighting for the last two spots. I really enjoyed One Punch Man.
Okay.
Um, and the last one, yeah, my top five only goes to four because the rest are sort of battling out for fifth position.
The film. Okay. Okay. Somebody always keep telling me about Akira because I think that's kind of like a old. Isn't that like an old school style anime, Akira? I haven't seen it,
Uh,
but
it's probably from I think 1990 or so. But I mean,
mm,
if you're into anime at all, you really need to see Akira. It's pretty mind blowing. I mean the story, the special effects, yeah, it's considered way ahead of its time. It's considered a classic. Anyone that enjoys anime absolutely needs to see Akira.
okay. Thank you for sharing that. I'm guessing I'm gonna have to check out Akira now. So there's something else I put on my anime to watch since I'm already behind a whole bunch of animes that I'm trying to currently keep up on. One Piece, um, what is Soul Eater. It's a lot. It's a lot. I gotta catch up on. I know I feel sad, so don't judge me. So out of all the animes that you name, True, if you could live in any anime world that you name, which one will it be and why?
Shit. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, oh, I don't know. I mean, they're all. Can we curse?
Yes, go ahead.
They're all pretty fucked up. I mean, Akira is near future. It's not post-apocalyptic, but it's sort of society is sort of like Blade Runner-ish, so it's not really like a happy place. Onimusha is like feudal Japan, but there are demons running around, so
Mm.
I'm not really so keen on that either. Um, yeah, I don't. I think I would want to be like a time traveler that was in like a bubble of safety that could like visit these places, but I don't think I want to live in any anime world that I've ever seen.
That's you know what? That's a good answer. That is fair to say because yeah, that is pretty kind of fucked up. That was. So going back to your childhood, growing up as a child, what was that first thing that caught your attention? Was it a comic book, a video game, a board game that kind of made you interest in the nerd community? What was that thing that kind of stood out to you?
Well, there's this debate in human development and child psychology, nurture versus nature.
Hmm.
There's this unanswerable question of the people that we are, the people that we become, how much of that is embedded in our DNA and how much of that is societal influence, family influence. And I have no way of knowing if my interests would have been different had my influences been different. But I
Mm,
have a brother that's 5 years older than I am, and he had an interest in art, and he
okay.
liked to draw the things that were important to us as 4, 5, 10 year olds. He would draw comic book characters. So I don't know if I would have an interest in art naturally. I don't know if I would have an interest in comic books and things like that otherwise, but that was imprinted on me at a very young age. Like I saw my brother, he was drawing the Hulk and it looked like the Hulk, and that was mind blowing. And, the characters that he drew, it's like, wow, you're drawing, like you're recreating these comic book characters. And that really made a deep impression on me. So I developed an interest in art, and it was really art was really the only thing that I ever had a real interest in. And so I became an artist, and I kept watching the animations and things. I was what we used to call a latchkey kid. I don't know if they still use that term anymore, but basically, I'm Gen X. We were the generation that we didn't have parents or necessarily siblings watching out for us. We had a
Mm,
key to the latch, the key to the lock of our door. And, it was like school's out, go home, and, good luck. Hope you're still alive when your parents get home. And that vacuum of parental guidance, I wasn't really interested in picking up books so much. So I just watched television, and I watched everything that was on because, what am I going to do? Like sit in silence, read a book. So I watched all of, do you know Sid and Marty Krofft?
the name sounds familiar. Yes.
So Sid and Marty Krofft was a production company that made after school shows and Saturday morning shows specifically for a kid audience, like Sigmund and the Sea Monster and HR Puff and Stuff and Lidsville and things like
Yes.
that.
Okay.
So I would watch all of that. I would watch little Speed Racer and Scooby Doo and everything that was on, and the impact that it had on me was that I was both very drawn to animation and TV shows and things like that, but at the same time, I recognized when they were taking shortcuts, and I recognized when they were making mistakes, and I recognized when they were putting things out into the world to be consumed by kids like me, and they had basically said, fuck these kids. Like, they're either too stupid to recognize that we've made this mistake, or fuck them, who cares anyway. And I would recognize those mistakes and that sloppy work. And it's part of what has driven me as an adult artist, is to not make those sloppy mistakes when I do work, especially if I'm doing work that's designed for kids.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the whole time you was talking and you was saying it, and you said Speed Racer. So let me ask you this: how bad was Speed Racer? But it was so good at the same time.
It's one of those things that I watched the hell out of it as a kid, but it sort of epitomizes the things that I don't really like so much about anime, like uh, realistic mouth movements. I prefer like that talking where it's just like your mouth is either open or it's closed,
Oh,
and like that kind of stuff. I'm not. That's the kind of thing where I'm like, okay, that's just kind of lazy, and that bothers me. So I loved it as a kid. I kind of don't love it as an adult. I tried watching that Wachowski movie of Speed Racer. Couldn't do it. I got like 15 minutes in, and I was like, okay, I it was like trying to like chug Kool-Aid that has too much sugar in it. It was like, I can't do this. My eyes can't do this.
oh man, yes, I can agree, because it was certain moments with Speed Racer, it was good, but the animation, it was just so bad. But you just couldn't take your eyes away. It's kind of like it's hurting, but it, It's something new. It's something different. It's not like your original cartoons that you see every day. It's something different. But I can't agree on that. Hey, what you got something against Kool-Aid? What's wrong with
Yeah.
Kool-Aid?
Yeah. I mean, I've had enough Kool-Aid in the first couple decades of my life to last for the rest of my life. Yes.
So, what was your favorite flavor of Kool-Aid?
Red, I guess. I don't know if it had it was either fruit punch or it was just the red one.
I love it because as Black people, we never say the flavor. We always say the color. I love
Yeah.
that about us. What's your
I don't
favorite, Green?
yeah, I don't know if it had a name. I suppose it did, but tropical punch or fruit punch or tropical fruit, some shit like that.
Hey, True, we got you. It red was your flavor. We know where you coming from. We know what flavor that was. We gonna say red all day long. So don't come for us. All right, people. That's what we do over here. But moving along, now your convention, Blerd Fest. Like, how did all this come about?
So I've I'm Black and I'm nerdy and I've been to a lot of nerdy events in which I was the only chocolate chip in the cookie. And that didn't,
Damn.
like white people are great, but I don't necessarily need to be the only Black person in a room full of white people. And I just found that nerdy events seem to gloss over the Black experience. Like, even to this day, I look at other cons in my area just to see, what guests are they bringing and, what panelists and what speakers and all that. And there is another one in the area. I don't remember which one it was. Doesn't really matter because they're all kind of the same. And then they had 10 guests, panelists, whatever. And it was like white guy, 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 Latina guy, a Latino guy, and then a woman. And they wouldn't call themselves a white con. But when you look at the content, when you look at what you're getting for your money, they're clearly not interested in the Black experience. They're not interested in Black people. They're not interested in Black stories, Black content creators, or at least it doesn't show from what they are presenting to the world. So, I've been to these nerdy events in which I was the only Black person, and then I've been to Black events in which I was the only nerd. And neither of those situations is really ideal for me socially. So because I tend to I think I'm a little neurospicy, so my brain needs a lot of novel stimulus. It needs excitement. It needs things to sort of geek out on. And
Right.
so if I'm in a space that lacks something for me to find interesting or a space for me to be in that is interesting and fun, my brain is like, okay, well, and since no one else has done this, it looks like it's up to you and me, brain. And so I created. I actually went to. It's carnival season in New Orleans. In case your audience is somewhere else in the world that doesn't care about carnival, but it's carnival season in New Orleans, and one of my favorite events during carnival season is a ball called Mom's Ball, and Mom's is a secret society of mystics, orphans, and misfits. And every Mardi Gras, they have this huge party with multiple bands on multiple stages, huge space, thousands of people, mandatory costumes, and always a great time. It's really amazing. I love going to Mom's Ball. But in 2018, I went to Mom's Ball and I was like, wow, this is really great. How is it that in a city that's 60% Black, there's an event that's 95% white? So I thought, okay, well, I really like
Wow.
this event, like the event itself, but like the demographics are a little lacking in melanin for my taste. So I turned to my Facebook community and I was like, hey, what do you guys think about doing a Blerd ball in which It's like a mom's ball, but with more melanin. And so the idea of doing a ball sort of morphed into like a con. And so by the next year, we had BLERDFEST, and we made it happen. And it was tiny, but it was really fucking amazing. It was really, everyone that went really loved it because it was really, do you know the story of Stone Soup?
No.
So I'm probably messing up some of the details, but they're not important. But the story of Stone Soup is like these three soldiers come into, they're wandering through the countryside. They come upon this this town, and they're hungry and they have no food, and they ask people for food, and people are like, "Fuck you, get out of my face." And they're like, "Okay, we're gonna make some stone soup." So they get this pot and they fill it with water, and they have a fire underneath it, and they throw some stones in, they're stirring it, and people come over like, "What you got going on there?" They're like, "Oh, this is stone soup." They're like, "Oh, stone soup." They're like, "Yeah, it's the fucking bomb. It's really great." And they're like, "You know what this needs? This needs a little, little chicken stock." And so someone goes, "Oh, okay." And they go and they get some chicken, and they're like, "Oh, this is great. We need like some potatoes." And then, so they're like, "Oh, it just needs a little this, a little that." And then by the end of that process, they have this delicious soup with all these different ingredients that were brought by all of these different people. And that's what BLERDFEST is. It's like stone soup. I created this big pot, and I've invited people like, "Say, you have some pretty good carrots. You got some pretty good potatoes and peas and chicken and whatever the hell else, crawfish. Why don't you throw it in this pot and stir it up, and we can all have some gumbo?" And that's what BLERDFEST is. It's a big black gumbo of black excellence and brilliance and genius.
I need to give you this real quick. This is two things behind that. One, you made me hungry as hell. Now I want to go try some stone soup. Two, that story was goddamn amazing, and that it was beautifully how you told it. And plus, you from New Orleans, so I really love gumbo, which is the real gumbo in New Orleans. If y'all didn't know, by the way. So,
well, actually, I'm not from here. I made a pilgrimage to be here because this is where I need to be.
Oh, okay. Why do you feel like you need to be there?
I think that New Orleans is the funnest city in America.
True.
I mean, yeah. I mean, New York, I think, is the greatest city on the planet, and that's where I'm from. Los Angeles. I escaped Los Angeles to New York, and then I escaped New York to come here. And New York is great, but it's not as much fun. I mean, it's about business. They're about like business and money and advancement and, becoming the greatest whatever. And New Orleans is like,
hey, we just here. Come on.
Let's just have some drinks, do a little dancing in the street, have a crawfish boil. There's time for work tomorrow. Right now, let's stop and have a crawfish boil and drink some daiquiris.
Basically, it's like New Orleans. Live in the moment. That's what you really need to do. Just live in the moment. Don't worry about today or tomorrow. Just live right now.
New York is like live for 20 years down the line. You have to sacrifice all of your todays because your tomorrow could possibly be the bomb, but you have to give up 20 years worth of your todays in order to see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. In New Orleans, they're like, tomorrow, shit, we could all get killed by a hurricane tonight. So
wait. I didn't mean to laugh, but that threw me. I was like, wow, he went there, but it kind of makes sense.
I call New York City a tomorrow city. New Orleans is a today city.
Understandable. Y'all need to listen to this man. He know what he's talking about. But moving along. So have you ever faced anything that was, what was like the hardest things you faced making BLERDFEST? Like, did you face any trials or tribulations, any problems, because I know it was a lot of no's, because of course, like you said, people don't really care about the African American culture or race when it comes to a community of nerddom?
The biggest difficulty that I've had, excuse me, the biggest difficulty that I've had is that my brain is very oriented towards the creative aspects. So I can conceptualize the hell out of something. I can create content for something. I can create the graphics for that content because my brain is all about like, this is, that's what my brain likes. But events, that events take more than just the concept and the graphics and all that. Like there's a nuts and bolts behind it that, like meetings and like figuring out where's the money going to come from for this, and who's going to pay for all of this. There's the venue, and if you're inviting guests from out of town, they have to have plane tickets, and they have to have hotel rooms, and they have to have cabs to get them from A to B. And there's a lot of puzzle pieces that make up the puzzle, and most of them are boring. Like I don't like the administrative aspect. I don't like the fundraising aspect, because jumping through fundraisers hoops and like researching sponsors and grants and things like that, my brain does not find that fun. And so that's the difficulty. Like I want to just like, oh, I want to make this thing right here, and it's got to be great, and it's got to be fun. And then there's always like this tap on the shoulder. And it's like, okay, yeah, motherfucker, but where's the money going to come from that? Where's the money?
Right.
The money. Where's the money going to come from? And so that's the balancing act, like figuring out what the fun stuff is going to be, because that's the reason for doing all of this. But then figuring out how to actually make it manifest is the challenge.
I understand that. I understand that. That's what most people who go to these conventions think like, oh man, he got such and such to come here, or he got this whole video game, or he got like a whole kickball game going on, but they don't really see like what you said. I could say it's the boring part of things, the administrative work, because you got to do this when math come in, and I hate math, so you got to do a lot of mathing. And I'm pretty sure
my brain and I are not fond of math.
We on the same link, yeah, because math was never my best subject. So yeah. But are you the only person? Well, when you first started, were you the only person, or did you have a team, or you had like maybe 2 or 3 people to help you with this, or was it all you?
I've actually been doing. I've been inspired to do community-based art projects for the last 30 years at least. Okay. And most of that time, it's been like a one-man operation coming out of my pocket and doing like, the whole soup to nuts of making these events come to fruition. Mm-hmm. And like when I moved to New York, I lived in Manhattan for a while, saw a whole bunch of free cultural events all throughout the city. And then I moved to Bed-Stuy, which is the largest Black neighborhood in New York City, and didn't see any free cultural events that, the type that I had come to expect to see in every other neighborhood in the city. And I thought, okay, well, again, there's a void that for whatever reason, no one has filled. So I couldn't complain about the lack of something unless I was willing to try and address that lack. So I started a free children's film festival in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, that is now the longest running free children's festival in the world. And that was great spiritually, but on a whole bunch of other levels, like it's a heavy thing to carry, have to come out of pocket for things, and have to, do all the design and store all the equipment and transport the equipment and set it up and use like all of that. But BLERDFEST is really the first project that I've worked on where a lot of people have stepped up to say, okay, I see the vision, I see what you're trying to do, and I want to contribute to that. Because I tell people that we're like a Comic-Con, but we are to most Comic-Cons what PBS is to E. You know, like they're both television networks, and they can both be entertaining, but one
Right.
is just about the entertainment, and the other, it's like Sesame Street is very entertaining, but really, what Sesame Street about is teaching kids, teaching kids numbers, teaching kids to read, teaching kids, shapes and how to count to 1, 2, 3,
Colors and
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
9, 10,
11,
11,
12.
12.
So that's what we're about. We're not really, I'm not out there to just entertain people. I'm out there to bring educational and vocational content into the Black community that we're lacking in the most fun and exciting way possible. So the Comic-Con stuff is just sort of like the shiny candy coating that is wrapped around this core, which is this information that we're trying to bring into the neighborhood. And that is why people have been helping me with this. There's a planning committee. There are people that drop in every now and then to do what they can. All of our guests, we started in 2019. COVID knocked us out for the next 3 years. We came back last year. We're planning again for this May 18th. All of our guests have appeared pro bono. So we have been given at least $100,000+ worth of appearance fees by guests who normally charge $20,000 to go to a con, $50,000 to go to a con, $60,000 to go to a con. But when I explain to them that we're not just a business trying to make money, we're a community service that's trying to reach out to people in the community and provide them with information that's going to make their life better, they're like, oh, okay, I get that. I'm on board. So if you can just get me there, I'm going to waive my appearance fee. Just get me there and we're good.
Flawless victory. Excellent.
Wow, Drew. Where have you been hiding? Because that is awesome. That's what I like to hear. And I'm pretty sure some people that are watching and hearing right now, it's like, what he talking about? I'm in it for the money. This is really why I'm doing the convention. But you don't have too many people what you're doing to benefit the culture of actually teaching and actually showing things of how everything's done. So that is amazing in itself, sir. So that's a well-deserved clap and a pat on your back, sir, for what you're doing. So here's my question, because a lot of people have been always asking, since I've been being the Blerd, having these amazing people on here, like why have why have we not heard? Because I came across your page like in 2019 when I first even saw the Blerd New Orleans Fest. I was kind of like, okay, this is interesting. It's a Blerd Fest and it's in New Orleans. That's the two best of both worlds. You can't get no better than that. I don't care who you are, unless it's a black con in Las Vegas, but that's a whole nother subject. But New Orleans and a BLERDFEST, but not too many people have heard about BLERDFEST because it's not that many black conventions in the United States, and you can agree on that. But we have it's DreamCon, it's BlerdCon, and that's like the only two black conventions.
There was WakandaCon, but I don't think that they returned post-COVID. They were great for like 2 years, and then COVID, and then I haven't heard from them. That was in Chicago.
Okay, didn't hear about. Oh wow! So
it was WakandaCon.
WakandaCon. That is, I have never heard of that. It was Chicago. Wow.
Yeah, so the reason that people haven't heard of us up to this point was because, remember that thing I said about like how I'm real good with the, conceptualizing, but not so good with the fundraising and all that kind of thing. So,
yes.
So we were basically financed out of my pocket, and I put all of the money into the content and didn't really have the budget for paid advertisement. So we were relying on word of mouth, social media. When it came to last year's event, I zeroed out my life savings to make that event possible. We actually,
wait, stop. Wait, hold on. Wait. Say that part again.
So all the money that I have left in the world from all of my decades of busting my ass, it got down to the point where it's like, okay, well, there is a grant from the city that is designed to support culture bearers, people that create events that bring people to the city and stay in hotels and pay a small hotel tax. And that money from the hotel tax goes to this organization that then gives money to the groups that create the events that bring people back to the city to stay in the hotels, to pay the tax to go. So there was that grant and we applied for it, but we weren't going to find out the results of that grant until after the event. So at the time when the spending needed to be done, I had no way of knowing if I would get all of what we asked for, half of what we asked for, none of what we asked for. And I had to just be like, fuck it, YOLO. And I zeroed out my life savings and we had a great event. And then like the month later, we got half of the grant that we asked for. And that allowed me to basically break even. So, you know, breaking even is a lot better than being in a hole, tens of thousands of dollars worth of hole. So, you know, I'm not in this to make money, but I would really prefer not to go broke. If I could make some money, that would be great. Obviously, I like money. I'm fond of money. I have seen money at various points in my life.
Right.
But yeah, so we have applied for another grant. We're going for sponsors and grants and all that. We've applied for another grant for this upcoming event. The big difference is that we're going to find out about the results of this grant 3 months ahead of our event. So that makes a huge difference because knowing a budget, knowing how much money we have to work with, makes a big difference when you're, you know, looking at how many people, how many plane tickets can you afford? How many hotel rooms can you afford? How many, you know, whatever can you afford? And so if we get money from this grant, we'll be able to do a lot more advertising. I've already started doing the research on radio advertising, television advertising, and online advertising. And if we get the money that I'm hoping that we get, people will hear about BLERDFEST because we'll be advertising to the fullest extent of our budget.
People, this is called a BMW, a black man working. That is awesome, bro. And believe me, if you need any help from us from BLERDOVER, please let us know what we can do to assist you in any way we can on our side to get the word across. Because
I call it spreading the gospel. So spread the gospel.
Hey, there you go, spreading and the good gospel at that. Let's put that in the good gospel, because man, this is amazing. Because this year, this is the year I'm a travel. I want to go to cons, and your con especially is the one I have to go to. I just want to experience it, being at BLERDFEST in New Orleans, because it sounds amazing.
What city are you in?
Birmingham, Alabama. So I'm kind of like 5 hours away from you. So yeah, I'm just right up the road, way up the road. So
okay, yeah, I've been to Birmingham.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it like that, because not too much great stuff goes on here. But yeah, we're gonna leave that alone for another time. So, have you ever heard of these, like the other conventions of like BlerdCon or DreamCon or of that nature? Have you heard of these things before?
BlerdCon, I mean, part of the journey was when we had this idea back in 2018, 2019, I was like, okay, I should go and see what other Black cons there are. And so I went to BlerdCon, I went to WakandaCon. There are a couple of mini cons in New York, like the Schomburg has the Schomburg is like the African American basically it's like the Black History Museum in New York City. They have a comic event. It's not like a full-fledged con, but so I mean I've gone to all the ones that I've been able to afford to go to, and I try and keep my eyes open for any new ones that pop up. I know that we are the first in the Gulf Coast, the first and only Black Con. I mean, I think you would have to go to Atlanta before you would find another Black Con. So probably,
You're right.
500, 800,000 miles in any direction. We are the only game in town.
Yeah, because now it's a new one. It's the Urban Nerd Con, which is going on in Atlanta, and that's gonna happen in April. So that's another Black convention. So far we up to 4. And
I'm totally in favor of their, like, I think like, I don't see them as competition. I see them, I mean, unless they're like same city, same day, or like nearby same day, they're not competition. So I am looking to promote to visit and to, support other cons in general, Black cons particularly, Indigenous cons, Latinx cons, like, I think more cons is a good thing, with the caveat that some of the cons that I've gone to don't really feel like cons. They feel like pop-up markets where someone just rents a convention center and fills it with vendors, and it's like, okay, give me some money so that you can come in and give them some money, and there's no content.
Right.
That just seems kind of. I love nerd stuff too much. Like, that kind of defames Comic Cons for me. Like, to just basically see me as a consumer, as a customer, and getting me in the door so that I can, like, so you can grab me by the ankles, shake me until all the money comes out, and then throw me out. Like, I'm not really feeling that dynamic. Like, we have vendors, of course, because I know people love it, but we are so much about the content, about the information, about exposing our community to all of this information. Like, for example, we make a special effort of having panels and discussions and interviews with film and TV professionals, because New Orleans has a film and TV industry that, is kind of had some ups and downs depending on what tax credits are being offered and whether or not we are, underwater. But we have an industry, and there are lots of jobs in those industries, and I would imagine that in every single one of the jobs that is in the TV and film industry, that Black people are underrepresented. And in part, that's because, it's like, how many people, if you ask the average person what jobs are in film and TV, they'd say actor, writer, director, and maybe producer. Beyond that, they'd be like, I don't know. But who knows what a key grip is? Who knows what a dolly grip is? Who knows what a gaffer, a best boy, like all of, like, that 10 minutes of credits that you see at the end of a Marvel movie? It's like, those are all people with jobs that that they're doing. And so one of our goals is to bring in vocational content for adults, in which we bring in, like, we might have a filmmakers panel, and we have a director and a producer and, like, the types of jobs that you've heard of, but we also have, like, a hairstylist that won an Emmy for some hairstyling that she did in one of these shows, a production assistant, camera crew, lighting, like, people who have these jobs that are not, like, glamorous and glorious, and you're not going to know their names or their faces or whatever. But that's not really, like, we want, like, the big celebrities that everyone recognizes, sure, but it's also important for us to bring into our community and put up on a stage and hand a microphone to someone that's like, I'm a production assistant, and that's not necessarily a glamorous job, but I've worked on the last 20 Marvel movies. I've worked on Black Panther. I've worked on, like, boom, 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 and, like, I have a union job with benefits and good pay, and this is how I got into it, and this is how I heard of it, and this is how you get into the union. Like, that's important to us. Like, showing you a celebrity that you recognize is great, but showing you someone that can maybe steer you towards having a career doing something that you love, that's very important too.
That is awesome, because like you said, people would know, like, the actors, the directors, everything like that, but you not really paying attention to the people behind the scenes. Because I do a little bit of acting, and I seen what goes into commercials and short films. It's a lot of work, and the people that's doing the work are the people you said, the ones that are doing the camera pull, setting up the lights, breaking down, getting certain shots, and that's really important. And it should be. I think that those are a lot of jobs in itself that people kind of miss out on because they don't know how to apply or they didn't think of such things. But I'm thinking about a movie. Okay, I'm gonna have to be an actor or actress or producer or actor. So, and because when I used to do it, when my friends used to make videos all the time, I used to hold a boom mic, which that is a very tedious job. You got to hold that thing up and you got to hold it for hours. And I mean hours. And that's an important job because you can have all the, the special effects, the great shot, but if you don't have the right sound to fit the movie is going to be trash.
Yeah, one of our panelists, he works in Atlanta and New Orleans doing. He's a cinematographer, but he also does some other camera-related things. Like he is able to. I don't even remember like the specific technical terms, but while a scene is being shot, if they want the color balance to shift, like they're filming in spring but it's supposed to be autumn, so they need to make the grass look browner and the sky like they used to have to do that in post-production. Now you can do it as you're shooting, and that's what he does. And he's probably making a couple $100,000 a year. Like these are the types of people. It's like, yeah, I want to bring in the faces that you recognize, but this guy can tell you how to get started in a career that you had never heard of before.
Exactly. And that's what your con is all about. So give us how many people you say will be in attendance at your convention?
Well, the first year in 2019, we had 250 people.
Okay.
The following one, we expected more, but after a lot of planning and we chose our date and we announced our date, then 2 other local established cons also announced the exact same date and time. So that kind of squashed our numbers a little bit. So we had 250 people last year, but we think that we're going to have an exponential leap this year because we believe that we're going to be getting some money from this grant that's going to allow us to do advertising for the first time. And so we're expecting 2,500 to 5,000 people this year, depending on how much money we get. And that will determine how much money we're putting into advertising.
Okay, that's good. That is great. So give us a typical day at BLERDFEST. What would people like? My first day coming in, what will I be doing and what will I be seeing?
Well, we're still just a 1-day con. We would like to be a 3-day con eventually, but we want to perfect it on a small level before we expand.
Right.
But this year's theme is myths and legends. And so all of our panels are we'll have a panel that is Black actors. We have Black filmmakers. We have Black writers, comedians, scientists. We reach out to people, we bring people in, and then we sort of group them by field and by genre, and then we put them all on a panel. So asking people what is it like to be what is the state of Black myth making in the writing profession? What's it like being a Black writer? Because in all of these fields, like whether it's acting or writing or directing or producing, we are not represented in those fields relative to our population in this country. So in all of those places where these professionals go, they are trailblazing. They're creating paths for the rest of us. And so all day long, we're going to have panels of these various blerdy professionals talking about, how they got started, what their careers have been like. We have one that is specifically about elder creatives, people who have had decades-long careers and have done nothing but their art for the last 30, 40, 50 years. Like there's, I don't know if I think the younger generation might not know him unless they're specifically into blaxploitation, but back when Shaft and Superfly and films like that were coming out, there was a former football player named Fred Williamson that started making those types of movies, and they called him the Hammer. And he made films like Hell Up in Harlem and Black Caesar and Three the Hard Way, and that was 50 plus years ago, and he's still acting to this day. He was also, you might know him. Did you see From Dusk Till Dawn? The
oh, you talking about the guy that turned into like a pit and they threw the guy?
Yeah,
that was him.
Yeah, so he's the big black guy in From Dusk Till Dawn, but he's been in I don't know, dozens, 100 movies. I don't even know.
Was he in if I think this is the same, was he in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, or was that somebody else I'm thinking about?
I asked him the same thing because there's another that was Jim Brown. That was another former football player. And when I asked him about that, because I was like, I know this guy, and I asked him like, "Were you in I'm Gonna Get You?" And he said something along the line of, "I wasn't in that bullshit." Like he thought that was kind of silly, and he was more about like action movies. And I mean, he's he's I don't know 80 something, and he's still like this big, tall, imposing man. That I'm like, okay, go ahead. So, he's coming in. We have this woman named Janae Michelle, who was in like, Sanford and Son and Bewitched and Blackula movies. Like, and, she's been acting for, we actually just, we had a BLERDFEST event. It was a screening, the 50th anniversary of a blaxploitation horror film called The House on Skull Mountain. That as of right now is 50 years old. And she's still acting and still gorgeous. And so, do you know Wendell Pierce?
Yes.
Wendell Pierce is one of our guests. So, and he's been acting for,
I got to come now,
30, 35, 40 years.
Oh, so, man.
And again, all of these people are appearing because they understand that our mission is one that we're out for the benefit of the community.
That is awesome, man. Well, kudos to you, brother. Thank you for this. I need to invite more people like this, because man, you just open up a whole new world of things that people can achieve and do now. Because this has been an awesome interview, because sadly though, we have came to the hour mark of this awesome interview. So thank you for for sharing everything that you shared with them. We really appreciate it. But
of course,
before we end, two questions. First question: can you let people know when this great event starts?
Saturday, May 18th, here in New Orleans. If you're in New Orleans, it's at McDonough 35 High School, which is a big, beautiful new building right next to City Park. And it's an all-day thing from 11 to 6. Kids 12 and under free, teens are $15, adults are only $25. And vendors, we have vendor tables for just $50 because we're more interested in getting the vendors in the door than making a lot of money from the vendors.
Okay. Now, second question, Mr. True, would you like to play a game?
Of course. Shall we play?
Okay.
Excellent.
Now, 3 games that I play with the people that I'm interviewing, just to have some fun for the people that's watching. I'm gonna give you the rundown of each game. It's up to you to which game you want to play. Basically, you pick your own poison. So, Game number 1, it is called questions. I will ask you 4 simple questions. If you can't help to answer those simple questions, you have to say the magic anime word, which is the good old
Nani?
Nani to activate your lifeline. Now, the people that are watching right now can help you answer that question, but you have to say Nani to activate your lifeline. If you don't, and if you see the answer or somebody says the answer before you, you will hear this sound. And that's it. You just took that 1 L for that question. That is a good game of questions. Game number 2 is the same as questions, but we call it Riddle Me This. It's the same concept. 4 riddles, Nani to activate your lifeline. That's it. Sort of simple. And game number 3, it is called Name That Tune. Now, name that tune, you will have 5 categories. Once we get to category number 3, that's when things become very difficult. Now, in Name That Tune, I could play any theme song from any nerd-related sound from video games, comic books, movies, sitcom TV shows, anything that is familiar from the nerd ear that give that nerd ear the tickle. It's like, hey, I know that song. That's from such and such. You have to give me the tone of that song. You got 5 categories, 2 lifelines, and I could play the song for you as many times as you like. So, Mr. True, what game would you like to play?
I guess I'll do the first one because I lived in poverty throughout my childhood, so we couldn't afford video games. The only video game system I ever had in my house was Pong.
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah.
For some people, like, what is Pong? If y'all might have to go, y'all gonna have to go look that up because that's like that was the first ever game system that everybody have, and it was the most funnest game you could ever play.
Calling it a system is a little bit of a stretch. Like it had 4 built-in games. It was before the 2600, and that 2600 was a system with like replaceable cartridges, and they'd come out with new games, and you could plug them into your system. Pong was not a system. Pong was like a console that it is what it is. It's got 4 games. You either like those games or you go out and climb a tree or something. So I'll do the first one because I probably wouldn't recognize the video game songs.
So he chose the questions, people. I'm gonna set everything up. Don't go nowhere. We can play a good game with questions, and we'll be right back. Oh, what's going on, good people? And we are back. We are back with it. We're going to play the good game called Questions, where he's going to have to answer 4 simple questions. And, that's really it. If y'all think he could do it, if y'all think he could do it, give me some thumbs up and give me some hand claps on all the social platforms. And we're going to get into it. Mr. True, are you ready for your first question?
As ready as I'm ever going to be.
All right, here we go. Question. First of all, I need to ask, do you see anything in particular, anything peculiar? Do you see me sharing the screen with you? Anything? Do you see anything at all?
All I see on the screen is me.
Good. Okay, we're going to keep it that way. All right, here we go. Question number 1. What does the E in email stands for?
Electronic.
Okay, we off to a good start. I'm pretty sure y'all saying that was an easy question, but some people might not have known that. All right, moving on to question number 2. Mr. True,
Mhm.
can you name the 2 days starting with T besides Tuesday and Thursday?
I'm sorry. Name the 2 days
Mm-hmm.
starting with the letter T.
Mm-hmm. Besides Tuesday and Thursday.
Are you sure this is not one of the riddles?
Mm-mm.
Hold on. Tax day. And termination day. When your ass gets fired for coming in late.
He went straight to the workforce with this one. Is that your final answer?
I mean, I'm guessing it's a riddle that I will probably go, oh, okay, I get it once you tell me. But yeah, tax day and termination day are the only 2 days that I can think of, other than oh wait, there's Tens Day and Ton Day and Tatter Day.
Is that really a day? Are those really days?
I mean, you know, Tatter Day is my favorite day of the week.
Saturday.
Comes right before Ton Day. Yeah, those are my final answers.
Those are your final answer. Are you sure?
Tax
Are
day
those
and Tatter
answers,
Day.
are those answers locked in?
Yeah, tax day and Tatter Day.
The correct answer we was looking for today and tomorrow.
Tomorrow Day, my favorite.
Okay, we are 1-1. Next question. Question number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the last 4 letters of the alphabet.
The last 4 letters of the alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm guessing there's a trick to this, but WXYZ.
That's your final answer?
Or hold on, last 4 letters of the alphabet. ABET.
Which one you want to go with?
I'm going to go with
Option A?
ABET.
ABET. You want to go with that one?
ABET, yes.
ABET. We would have went with W, X, Y, and Z.
That one was too straight. So I thought the last 4 letters of the alphabet.
I get what your mind coming. I get that. I get what I get where he's coming from. There's 2 ways you can answer that question, but the one we was looking for is W, X, Y, Z. I understand. That man got a big brain. Go ahead. What you gonna say?
Straightforward. That one was sort of like, do you know your alphabet? What shape is this? What shape has 3 sides? It's like, yes, I know the answer to what shape has 3 sides, but there has to be a trick to it. But when you say triangle, then I'm like, okay, well then all right.
Here we go.
Questions?
Last question. This is the last one. The last question. Are you ready?
Yep.
Last question. Let me find me a good one. Okay, here we go. Last question. 7 plus 6 is 12, or 7 plus 6 are 12?
Neither. 7 plus 6 is 13.
Okay, very good. So you came up with 2 and 2. 2 right, 2 wrong. Now we got a tiebreaker. Now, Mr. True, it's on you. You can keep the 2 and 2, or we can go for a tiebreaker for one question and clear. Okay, all right. That's that Los Angeles and New York mentality right there. All right. Last question. Here we go. What is heavier, a pound of cotton or a pound of stone? Which one is heavier?
They're both the same.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Outstanding.
Boom. That was it. Everybody, y'all clap it up for him. Clap it up for him. Clap it up for him. Well, he cleared the board, got all of them right. So that was amazing. We kind of got it to a tiebreaker, but he broke the tie. That was awesome. So good, sir. Thank you for playing. Thank you.
That kind of felt like when I took the GED.
Not the GED,
which is a good enough diploma.
I'm gonna have to use that. That was pretty good. Well, sir, thank you for coming on, man. Before we go, is there anything you would tell the good people where they can find you at on social platforms, and also give them a good word of encouragement?
Yeah, you can.
There we go.
You can scan this code, and it'll take you to the website that I'm in the process of redesigning right now. Or you can just go to BLERDFESTNOLA.com. Let's hold on. There we go. BLERDFESTNOLA.com or just BLERDFest.com will take you to our site, and that'll tell you who we have planned for our Saturday, May 18 event, and all the information on the who and the where and the whys and all that good stuff. So come out and be your authentic, nerdy, blerdy self.
Boom. There it is. There go the shirt. There go the shirt. Well, good sir, thank you for coming on. And good people, thank you out there for watching and checking us out. Please go check out BLERDFEST 2024. It's an amazing con. I'm going to be there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. For one, it's New Orleans. 2, it's a BLERDFEST. And 3, it's going to be a lot of black cosplayers and a lot of great black excellence there to help you with your life. So please come out. Please support. Spread the word to everybody that you know. Spread the word to your mama and them, your family, everybody, because this is an amazing con. We have to get this out. And this is another convention for us that is ran by us. So please, and please, I'm asking you, please help and do whatever you can to support this brother and his brand, please. And at this time, baby boys, baby girls, what's going on? It's your boy SKIP.88 here from Blerd over Yeet, saying thank you for tuning in, for being a Blerd on this beautiful Sunday. Y'all take care. And at this time, WTW, what's the word? Say it with me. UNITY. What does that spell? Unity. This is how we're going to make it to life together. Happy Black History Month. And I'll see you next time on Being a Blerd. And we out.